This is the BZ-75, a Tier 10 Chinese tech tree heavy tank, a vehicle that will be released most likely in the next major update when it comes to World of Tanks Blitz. The tank looks really cool, in my personal opinion. I've already ground this tank on World of Tanks PC, and I'm really excited for it to come into Blitz, and I'm just hoping that what I have speculated in today's video is not going to be true, and the vehicle's actually going to be really good. Now, it does seem like Wargaming has put a great effort into balancing this vehicle properly, because it's going to be the first heavy in the game at Tier 10 that features a derp gun. It has 2,150 DPM base, and then you have Hesh, just like the Caliban, that has 2,700 DPM with a whopping 800 damage per shot. So it's quite interesting, but obviously it's a derp gun, so it's going to have some mediocre accuracy statistics. In today's video, I will be breaking into both guns the vehicle has, the derp and the basic 130mm. We'll be comparing both of these style guns to counterparts like the 60TP and BZ-75, and I'll be sharing my opinions and thoughts on how I think this vehicle is going to play. So let's start off with the gun that a lot of you probably want to hear about, the derp gun. It has 3 different types of ammunition. AP with okay pen, 263. It's pretty average. I mean, we can see that the 60TP is 265 standard, the BZ's other gun is 273 standard, so it's alright. It's enough to cut through the majority of weak spots frontally. The Hesh has 198 mils a pen. This is with calibrated on, I should mention. And then it also has standard HE, which has much more alpha damage. Instead of 780 like the Hesh, it has 920, but it only has 72 mils a pen. So most likely, you'll be sticking with the Hesh for the majority of shots you're penning. 780. Alright, well, let's take a look at the first thing that you might have noticed. Wow, what a long reload. 17.3 seconds. That is really long. The 60TP has a 15.8 second reload, and that's quite a bit better than 17.3. So in terms of DPM, yeah, the vehicle's not great, 2,150, but that's because if you load Hesh, the vehicle gets 2,700 DPM. So it's kind of like a trade-off. Personally, I don't think the reload's that bad because of the fact you do get that really monstrous Hesh. In terms of accuracy, well, it's not great. It's the same aiming time and base dispersion as the 60TP, and it's also the same on movement dispersion. Now, for any of you that are unaware, the 60TP is not an accurate vehicle. It's in fact probably one of the most frustrating guns in Tier 10. It can miss a lot of easy shells very quickly. So the on-movement dispersion is really bad on this tank. The base dispersion's really bad. But hey, at least it has 8 degrees of gun depression. When it comes to the top speed, the vehicle can reach 40. And it reverses at 15, which is the same as the 60, but you do have to remember this vehicle features gear oil, so in mobility, this tank is actually a little bit slower in terms of reverse. However, power to weight wise, it's a lot faster than the 60TP, as we can see. That's because the terrain resistances are much better. Traverse speed's going to be about the same due to terrain resistances. Camo values are basically the same. So we can see from the overall stats of this derp gun, it appears to be a 60TP, but a little bit different here and there. But there's a big problem when it comes to this vehicle, and that is the armor profile. You see, we can take a look at the armor. This is what an M60 sees with AP. So it's got a big weak lower plate, 180 mils thick. And the turret looks pretty strong, right? It's got this hatch in the middle, but it's 270. But oh boy, we already arrive at 2 big weaknesses. These big hatches on the roof, I mean, those are massive weak points. And uh-oh, what's this? Yeah. This is why I have problems with Wargaming's balancing on the vehicle. This is a Tier 10 heavy, and the vehicle using gun depression is actually weaker than when it is on flat ground. Flat ground, the turret is about 270, but using 8 degrees of gun depression, these become 220 because of the way they're angled. And that's really sad. It honestly defeats a lot of the capabilities this tank has. And by the way, loading heat, look at the armor. It's so bad. You can pen the entire turret, and this is with enhanced armor, by the way. Taking off, I mean, yeah. So the upper plate's pretty weak, it's 340, and the lower plate's weak, the turret's weak, the hatches are all weak. Even hull down, you can pen every single hatch with heat. Personally, this is why I have problems with the tank. It has no armor. If they want to give it weak hatches, then make the turret impervious here and here. If you want to make the hatches strong, then make the turret have some weak points. But it shouldn't just be this massive, easy pen for everybody. Compare the armor of the BZ-75 to the vehicle we were just taking a look at, the 60TP. I mean, look at the drastic difference. Yes, it does have a weak spot on the hull, but that is very easily hidden by using the gun depression. And, I mean, look at the turret. 700, there's no weak spot apart from this tiny little hatch on the roof. And even then, it's very hard to hit. And when you pair that with the fact that this vehicle basically has the same gun handling, same standard damage per shot, but it features tungsten, better reverse speed, I don't know, guys. It just seems like, yeah, the derp gun's cool, and it's going to hit hard, but the armor on the BZ seems so freaking useless that I don't know if it's going to matter all too much. And that's the major problem I have with the vehicle. Wargaming balanced the tank around the derp gun, but they gave it no actual armor, which is really disappointing. But let's take a look at the other gun, the 130mm that this vehicle features, and compare it to a 130mm the BZ-75 carries. So DPM-wise, they are basically the same, as we can see. And actually, let me remove these two so it'll be easier to compare. So, yeah, DPM-wise, they're almost the same. Penetration-wise, they are almost the same. Loading gold, however, the VZ is quite a bit better because it has APCR rather than heat. But you know what? 360 mils of heat pen is plenty to get the job done, so no real complaints there. Overall, very similar stats when it comes to their guns. And we can take a look at their dispersion. 1.5 seconds of aiming time, actually better than the VZ. On-movement dispersion, the same. Base dispersion, the same. Gun depression, 1 degree more. So in terms of the gun, it's basically a slightly better VZ-55. If we take a look at the mobility, though, the VZ does have a much better power to weight on hard terrain, but much worse on medium terrain. So power to weight wise, these vehicles are very similar. Same for the mobility, 38 compared to 40, but the reverse speed is quite a bit worse on the VZ. Overall, these vehicles are very similar on their overall stats. But again, we arrive at the major problem. The VZ has much better armor. Take a look at the VZ's armor hull down, and it's just all red. I mean, yes, you do have a hatch, but for the most part, the turret is nearly impervious unless you hit this little bar here. And even then, against AP, that's going to be really tricky to pen. The upper plate on this vehicle, 440. Even when you're aiming down, that's a super, super hard upper plate to pen. So the VZ, actually quite a well-armored vehicle. Again, we go over to China, we take a look at the BZ-75, and I mean, this is what a VZ sees when it aims in on the BZ. It's just, there's no armor, and that's the problem. Why would I drive this tank? Why would I run the 130 when I can drive this tank and run the 130? Personally, I think the BZ-75 is going to be a massive flop. If you want to drive a vehicle with high alpha and a big derp, get the E100. Get the 60 TP, put on tungsten. Get the VK72, put on tungsten. If you want a vehicle that has a nice, accurate 130mm, get the VZ-75. It's just, I don't know. Maybe Wargaming will buff the armor, but as of right now, it seems very poor. Let me know what you guys think about this vehicle in the comments down below. Are you excited for it? Do you think the derp gun is going to make up for the really poor armor? I think that there will be situations when this tank can be really fun with the derp gun and everything, but I also feel like there's going to be so many situations where you just get so mad due to the fact that the armor doesn't really work against the majority of players. I mean, even mediums. Let's say you're up against a tier 10 medium, a TVP, one of the worst pen vehicles, and you load heat. If the vehicle's using gun depression, you can cut right through the lower part and all the hatches. So, I don't know. It's just really disappointing. This is with enhanced armor on as well. I just really hope Wargaming buffs the vehicle, because as of right now, it's quite lackluster. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye!